Hey, this is Jenny Jones. Wanted to give you a quick walkthrough of how to set up your Mutant Mail and just how easy it is to set up. And I think a lot of people are a little bit intimidated by what you can do, but I think this is just as easy as setting up your SMTP on your smartphone, right? And so what I want to do is the first thing you do is once you log in, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to add your domain. And what's going to happen is this box is going to pop up. Now, what you have to do is you only have to make 1, 2, 3, 4. You only have to make 5 entries into your record. And I'm going to take you over there and I'm going to try to show you. I'm going to just show you the entry and where you make your records at, just in case, because there may be some people that are out there that are just non-technical. But at the same token, I just wanted to show you how easy it was to set it up. So you have to set what you do is on your DNS side of your CNAME panel of your cPanel is you have to make 3 text entries. These are generic entries that you mostly have to make if you're going to do anything with your MX box or your mailbox exchange box. You're going to have to make some text entries, and then the CNAME is obviously going to change the actual address for where they're going to come from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to set up these records, each one of these records, and I'm going to show you. Again, I'm not going to, any of these, if I show you, I'm dead in the water because these are my keys. So that's why they're blanked out. So I just wanted to show you how easy it was. So let's go ahead and go to the next step in actually inputting into your DNS. All right, stand by. All right, now that we've made it over to the DNS portion over where my mailboxes are or where my domains are, you have to go inside the DNS portion or where you can edit your actual tables at. And we had a couple of text records we had to edit, and so I'm going to show you. I don't know if I'm going to go that detail, but what you do is you get inside the edit, you click text, and then it'll say, hey, do you want to modify that record, or do you want to add a new record? And you just hit the edit box, and then what you do is you copy these different records. So we have 1, 2, 3. So you have to basically do this 3 times. You have to do this 3 times, create 3 new records. And then I think there was a CNAME we had to create right here. We had to create a CNAME right here. And then we have to go into the MX records. Okay, so I just want you guys to say that. So we have the MX, which is the mailbox exchange. We have a couple of text boxes, and we have a CNAME. So you go in each one of them and you hit the edit box and you basically or essentially copy what's here, because they'll tell you, hey, just copy these into that box. So with the first text box, you're going to put @ for the host name, and then you're going to just copy and paste this into the value of it. Okay, so that's how you set that up. And then let's see what happens next. So you're going to take these 3 records, you're going to put those in, you're going to edit each one, and then you are going to move on to the next step. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. All right, as promised, I wanted to show you the CNAME setup in the CNAME window, because it's a little bit different from text, right? Text, you just put the @ for the host, and then on the other side, you just copy and paste. For the host side, on the CNAME side, you have to just put, still pretty much the same, you have 2 sides, but from here, you're going to put what was requested. You're going to put the default, and it says default something something. And what's going to happen is it's going to generate it automatically for you, and it'll put in your host name for you right there. And then you're going to, you just copy and paste it in, just as it explains. One of the tricky parts in setting up Mutant Mail is there's a Y right here. So you have to add that Y, make sure that that's part of your CNAME. You have to copy and paste all of it, including the Y. That's a little tricky part, and that gets a little people caught up in Mutant Mail. But other than that, it's a little bit longer than this border would allow it to have. So it kind of goes on down here to the next column, but you should be able to get that. So just if you copy and paste all of this in, you should be able to get it. So you put all that in the host part, and then you take the value where it points to. You copy all this long string here, and then you place that right here. It's just a copy and paste right in there. And then you select your time to list. I think it's called time to list or time to listing when you want it to become active, the CNAME. And you put the number in here. And normally they'll give you an example of what your provider would provide. Normally I do, I put in 300 because 300 is 5 minutes, right? And then you can put in 1800, which is 30 minutes. I like to put in 300 just to see if it can go through the system a lot faster. If it can do 5 minutes, it will. If not, it'll probably do maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But I always just put in 300 just for my setup and my server. And it's kind of, I mean, my host provider and what they do. So you have to have all that filled in. And so we will go on to the next step. All right, thanks. All right, so the last step in adding our records is the MX records, right? You add the MX records. It's the same thing. You put your information in, and then you click add. For all of them, you always click add. That's for my domain and how they set things up. There's usually always an add button. If you go on GoDaddy or anything else, you're always going to see an add here. Once you put in your entries, you're always going to see an add here. And again, the time to list is still the same. Again, 300 is 5 minutes and 1800 is 3 minutes. You're going to add you're going to add that record. What you're going to do is you're going to use, for the MX record, you're going to use @ again. @ means the host. So basically you're telling the system to say, hey, use the host. So the @ means use the host, whatever the host is, and then you put in the value. So for default, it's kind of like the @ sign, and when you're trying to tag somebody in Facebook, it already has a built-in code of what it wants to pick up. So I think this is, I'm not going to say what the code is. I'm not really sure. But here you're going to put in the @ sign, and then you're going to copy and paste that in, and then you're going to put in either 1800 or 300 or whatever your hosting provider allows you to put in. And then you're just going to hit the add button, and that is going to be all our records. So I'm going to show you in the next video or the next slide what the actual table should look at fully filled out. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to execute everything and let it propagate over to the Mutant Mail side, and we're going to pick it up from there. All right, so what we're going to see here is you're going to see that all of my records have been added successfully. We wanted to get 5 records updated. We wanted to get 3 text records. That's 1, 2, and then that's 3. We wanted to do 3 text records. We wanted to do 1 CNAME record. It's right there. And then we wanted to do 1 mailbox exchange record. It's right there. So all of these records have been added. They're added to the, so now we're just going to let them matriculate, and then we're going to show back up on the Mutant Mail side, and we're going to go through to the next steps. Again, that is all you need to do to set up your Mutant Mail. And then I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on the Mutant Mail side on how we're going to make things work out, and we're going to have everything go through. I think we may just have it just go through the Gmail so everybody can see how simple it is, whether it's Gmail, whether it's Hotmail, doesn't really matter. And we'll go from there. All right, thanks. All right, so let's pick up where we left off. One of the things I did not, or I forgot to tell you, or neglected to tell you, was right here, your actual domain has to go in here. So you have to put in your domain, whether it's yourname.com or in this case, it was houseflipperfunds.com, which is one of my sites that I use for one of my real estate companies. So I use that in there, and then once you get that in there, then you come back and validate. Okay, so let's see what happens after you click that and you put that into the domain name in there, and then you click validate, right? So here's what happens next. It comes back and it says, hey, your records have been verified. You are who you are. You have the proper credentials to go ahead and create and or send emails to this mailbox exchange. So you get the little check mark here, right? And that means you're good to go here in this particular column. Now, that's very important because it's not going to send. Now, what I told you I was going to share with you in this making of this is mine was immediate. As soon as I added the domain name, it was immediate. So I would say it took me maybe 7 to 8 minutes, if that long. And only because I was doing the recording of the video, it may have took a little less time. Because remember, I put in 300 for mine. So I put 5 minutes for each one for it to take effect. For the MX records, and I think for the C name, I put 5 minutes. The text message, the text, when you're putting in a text box, those are just instructions when it hits the actual server. The ones that really are going to affect is going to be the MX exchange records, and the C name, how long those are going to take to effect. And again, for me, I put in 5 minutes. Again, I'm saying about 7 because I had to record and stop and record. So I think it probably would have happened in 5 minutes, but that's just my domain. So a couple things go through here before I start breaking them into a little bit more. So again, it was a few seconds ago, it was already collected. And so you can see the domain here, House Flipper Funds is going to see there. This is the catch-all feature. And I think we talked about this. I talked about this with the owner. I talked about this just briefly in my first video, but the catch-all is no matter what name you put on the front of this houseflipperfunds.com, I can put Jenny at houseflipper.com. I don't even have to have a record for it. It's just going to pick it up because it's just a catch-all. So we talked about that, and the owner talked at length and talked about the strengths of that. I think I has another video. Maybe it comes after this one, or it's before this one, or I may even post it up top where you can see where he talked about what the catch-all does, just in case you are not familiar with that, what that does. So this account is active. And we're going to do a test. We're going to send a test. I'm going to set it up on my Gmail, and we're going to do a test from there. We're going to just see how this baby works. Now, I'm putting this to test. Again, I own it, so I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to see exactly that I go through the steps and the paces and to see how it works out. So let's go on to the next step. Let's try to put this thing in motion and see how effective it is. All right, thanks. All right, so one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted it to go to a Gmail box, right? I already have one set up as a default here. So that's something totally different. But I wanted to do this test for you so you can see that I can actually send it to an actual Gmail account. So this is my Gmail account. Again, not going to put my entire email address out there for the whole world to see. Everybody, and I've done that before, and trust me, it's not a good feeling. Everybody starts emailing, you start getting spam from everywhere. So I'm very cautious, and it's hard for me to do live videos without blurring stuff out. And I have some blur tools that I use, but some of them conflict with some of the plugins I have. So it's just, I just try to do that. So I just wanted to explain that to you, the reason why I blur a lot of stuff. So, so this is the email that I just set up in the recipient's inbox. It's like, I want that house flipper to come, and I want it to come, and I want it to come to this particular Gmail account. And I'm just showing you that because I can send them all to this Gmail account, but they all right now are going to this default account here. So what it did, and I just want you to explain from here. So what it did is when I set it up here, I put add recipient here, and I basically put in the email account. It actually sent me an email verified. So I have to verify the email first to actually know that that recipient would be good on the other side. So let's take a look at that. All right, we can see here that the actual Mutant verify email actually showed up. So we're going to go ahead and verify the email, and then we're going to go back into the Mutant Mail, and we're going to do a test run just to see what happens on the other side. So again, I'm setting this up for my Gmail because what I wanted to do is I wanted to have an address so I wouldn't have to go through all of those email addresses on my phone. I just did not want that. It was not productive for me. So just wanted to walk you through that, and let's check out the verify email, and let's verify it, and then let's go for a test run. All right, so what I wanted to do next was I wanted to create an email ID, right? Who is it going to be at House Flippers funds.com. You know, is it going to be Jenny? Is it going to be admin? Is it going to be info? I don't know, but I can create that now. So what I did was I went to here. I went to email IDs and I clicked email IDs. Then I went to create new email ID. What happens when you click on create new email ID is you get this dialog box here. This dialog box is going to show you all of the registered domains that you have, or the verified domains that you've set up with the proper MX record, CNAME, and text notes, text messages inside the when you set it up. So this is the one we did. I have 2 others here, but this is the one I'm taking you through this journey with. So that's houseflipperfunds.com. So for that particular one, I get to set up my my name here, and I create an ID. What's going to have the domain on the other side. So again, admin, info, whatever I set up or whatever I choose to set up on that side, I create that ID. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to send an email to that ID, and it's going to show up on the Gmail. And I just want to be able to show you that and kind of bring this to a close. As you can see, in the end, it doesn't matter if you set up all your stuff here. You can set up as many IDs as you want. Each one of these new companies, whether it's GoDaddy, whether it's some of these other hosting companies, they're starting to charge you per email. Well, I can avoid that problem by just setting up email IDs here and just sending them around and or set a catch-all and just set them up that way as well. So again, just wanted to take you through that. And now let me show you what happens when I create the email ID and how we get it over to Gmail. And again, I can use Gmail to send from there. So I can send, anybody can send me an email. It's going to come to my Gmail account, no matter which one of these. If I can, all 3 of these domains, if I set them all up for Gmail, they're going to all come in here. I can reply from Gmail and it's still going to have the domain on the other side. So let's take a look at that. All right, before I show you the email that we set up for the Gmail and the reason why I chose Gmail, let me give you a couple of hacks, because that's what we do here at the Digital Growth Hacks Club. Let me show you the hacks. And a lot of people's like, oh, what? I still don't think that I need Mutant Mail. You may not think you need Mutant Mail, but let's take a look at this. Let's dissect this a little bit. This is taken from the GoDaddy site, and I clicked on professional email. So what you have here is you have a $1.99 per user per month email address. So $1.99 per user per email address. That's just the introductory. So after when you renew, which is in 12 months, your cost will be $5.99 per user. So you get everybody established on email, whether it's info, whether it's Jan, whether it's Peter, whether it's any of your VAs that are helping you. Now you're looking at about $6 per person per email. So that gets that you add that up pretty fast. It could be $24 a month, right? With 4 emails, 6 times 4 is 24. So once you do that, you're going to find out that can get pretty expensive. It's definitely over a year. So this one is $3.99. This one gives you 50 gigabytes, gives you 10 gigabytes. Here's the difference in what Mutant Mail is, and the reason why people get confused and why they sometimes get stuck on some things. They're measuring bandwidth. They're not measuring storage, right? So their price is based on bandwidth. How much bandwidth are you sending through? Everyone else's is based on storage because they're actually storing your email. Mutant Mail is not storing your email. So only thing they're doing is they're taking the header information in your email, the ones and zeros that is in the package, and they're just transferring that on. That's all they're moving, right? And so, but they're looking at how many times you're doing that. That's where the bandwidth comes into play. And if you're moving larger packets, right, then that's where the bandwidth comes in play. So their biggest expense, or speaking to the founder, is their biggest expense is bandwidth. We want to measure our bandwidth because we're charged on our end for bandwidth, so we have to manage that. And I get that. As a business owner, you figure out what is your largest cost operator, and you try to keep that reduced or minimized. So theirs is bandwidth, and you'll notice that there's a bandwidth measurement in your dashboard, and you'll notice that the bandwidth is on their breakout tiers there should be a link below to, you can actually get Mutant Mail. There's a link below, and you're going to see the biggest changes is going to be the bandwidth usages, right? And so we're not even going to talk about this. This is not even a fair comparison because you get Microsoft Plus and 365. But what is different about this is on the first year, after a year, on your 13th month, you're going to be charged $16 per email, right? So if you got 2 VAs plus yourself, those are the only emails you can have. You can't have any other emails off of those domains. That's why you need a Mutant Mail. Not only that, you can set everybody's email up off of one email, and you can see all the traffic that's going through. All right, so that's what I just wanted to show you. Just give you this quick comparison. When people say, "Oh, I don't need that," no, this is based off storage. They're really charging you for storage. In essence, that's what they're charging you for. Setting up email addresses is really easy. They used to give them away free. Now they're charging on storage because that's where the biggest cost is coming into play at. And so that's why you no longer can really get free emails, right? Unless you use a Gmail. And while Gmail is still free, or Yahoo, we're still going to use those emails. And the reason why those are free, let me change that. The reason why they're perceived to be free is because they scan your emails for keywords. And that's how they serve you ads. So if I'm writing, hey, I want to go back to school, I want to go back to college, in my emails, I'm talking to my sister or my brother, hey, I'm thinking about going back to college this year and the new year starts. I'm thinking about working out this year. And now I start seeing all these workout ads start coming through my Facebook and my Google because they share information with one another as well. A lot of people don't know that either, but Google and Facebook do share a little bit of information with each other to try to make sure ads are served appropriately. So just want to let you know that. So Gmail, is it really free? No. Is Yahoo really free? No, but they're using your information. They're not reading it per se, line for line, but they are scanning for keywords that jump out to them. All right, so just wanted to share that with you. Now let's go on to Gmail, the free account, which is still free, but it's not really free. All right, let's take a look at the path of travel for the email that we sent out. Wanted to do a test email. And so what I did here is I used my email from my phone. I sent it from my phone, but here's a look at it up close. And what I did was I sent it to, we have a running joke, myself and the founder of Mutant Mail, because we were trying to do a test and he was trying to prove something to me when I first bought the tool. And I says, no, I don't believe it does that. I don't believe that. He says, all right, but think of name, right? So we came up with Tom and Jerry, right? And Tom and Jerry, we all know this cartoon characters, but we just wanted to make up a name to use as an email ID to prove that it worked. So I said, well, let me use that same test here for Tom and Jerry at houseflipperfunds.com. And I sent this out. And what I put in here is, hey, I hope you got this email or else the Digital Growth Hack Club will look pretty bad, right? And I sent this out to Tom and Jerry, sent it out from my phone. Obviously, like I said, I have a Galaxy Note 10. And so I sent it out through the phone. So let's see what happened, right? So it showed up here. Right, it showed up here in my Gmail account because that's what we set up for everything to go in and out of one Gmail account. Did show up here. Let's open it up. Let's take a look at the packet again. This was sent. I hope you got this email, or else the Digital Growth Hack will look pretty bad. Sent from my Note 10. Right, so that showed up in my Gmail account. We already talked about that. It went to Gmail. So let's look at the contents of the Gmail. So here's what happened inside of it. I wanted to open it up and take a look at the header. And this is where all the magic happened, right? So this is my email address from email address that I use. I've been having for years. That's there. But here's what happened. I think this is probably where the magic happens. I'm not really sure. But what it did was it took Tom and Jerry. It added a plus right here. It added my email address, which is this one, right? So this email address that I sent it from is then added here. So it's Tom and Jerry plus, and then it goes to the House Flipper domain, right? And again, you can see the timestamps. This is 225 Jan 9th, 225 Jan 9th. You can see that there, right? And it was instant, right? And so you can see there, and here's the subject line. My Mutant Mail test is what I used. My Mutant Mail test was the subject line, my Mutant Mail test. And it was mailed by houseflippers.funds, House Flipper Funds, signed by houseflipper.funds, and so on and so forth. So that's the test, people. I sent it there, and I mean, and for them to get it back, if I replied back to this, I just hit reply all. I mean, I just hit reply here. It'll go back with the same domain. I think it's imperative that I show you that. So let me take a look at that real quick. All right. As I bring this to a close, I wanted to respond and show you what it looks like on the other side. So we already took you through. We sent the email from one side. Then we sent it over to the Gmail. Now we're replying back through the Gmail. And from what I understand, you have to reply. You can't create a new email from the Gmail. You just have to reply back, right? So you just have to hit reply. And I don't know, I'll talk to the founder, or maybe he can even comment on this video and let you know that's the way it's supposed to work. But if I'm not mistaken, we had a discussion, and you have to reply back because it keeps the same header in place. And what it's doing is adding this plus sign, and it's adding the email it came from. Then it's putting into the houseflipper.com, the domain that you use. So I replied back. This is the Gmail account that I use, and I just hit reply, and I put back and said, hey, got the email. Thank you, and no, you did not look bad, or something like that. I put in there, and we're going to look and see what it looks like when it arrives back on the other side. So I used a Gmail. I just responded, didn't do anything any different, and responded back to the email. And let's take a look at what it. So this is what happened. It showed back up on the other side, and it says, hey, it's from Tom and Jerry. Again, that was our original. Those are the original people we sent it to, was Tom and Jerry, right? It goes back to Tom and Jerry. And this right here shows you who it was sent to. This is me. This is my email address. But then this is Tom and Jerry plus my email address at House Flipper. So what they did is they kind of took it and they added the email address in there as well, and they made sure. And to me, I think that's more of their whole traffic cop built in. They're changing the header, and they're adding a plus to the header and making sure it arrives at the ID tags it's supposed to arrive to. And then what I wrote was, I hope you got this message, or else a Digital Hack Club will look pretty bad. And I replied back here. I replied back, hey, got it. Thank you. You did not look bad. Let me see what the rest of the message was. Thank you. And you did not look bad at all. So that was the message back. Here's how it looks on my side when it came back. So if I'm the customer or I'm the client receiving it, this is what it looks like. Came back as Tom and Jerry, right? All the other stuff. And so you can send it out. So I can have, I think, as many as 20, 30 ID tags. I'd have to go back and look at mine, but I had 20 or 30 ID tags. You can go and look at it. And I could have Tom and Jerry, Burger King, whatever. I'm just thinking of names. I mean, as far as from a business aspect, it'll be admin. It may be one of your VAs, maybe two of your VAs. And this will come in handy if you have, we talked about it here. When you start adding up the email accounts for a professional person you're trying to scale, something like this tool becomes very valuable. It becomes very handy because you can create the email IDs on the fly, as long as you have the domain in there, right? Or they can, as long as the domain is in there and it's set up for a catch-all, you can create any email tag on the fly. So that's what I wanted to cover with you. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this is a detailed walkthrough. I've never did one this detailed, but I felt it needed to be explained from end to end. You can actually see, I have a couple of videos here, or you may be able to look up top and you'll see one of the videos that I have related to this, whether it's with the founder or whether it's kind of a 30,000 foot view. Now that you did all this, take a look at the next video that shows up, and you'll probably see how I took a 30,000 foot view at it and show how it looks from a higher aspect. Again, this has been Jenny Jones, Digital Growth Hacks. This is not a quick hack, but it is a hack. And again, what you want to do is try to avoid these little fees. They're sneaking up on you. And GoDaddy is really famous for this. And what you need to make sure that you're aware of is when you have email addresses, those become almost permanent addresses, like you're moving, right? You'd have to move a house, or something like that. That's how serious these email addresses are. So if I get you locked in at the $199, that's a stream bump right there. It's almost 50%. And what you're going to do is you're going to see here, actually it's more than 50%, but what you're going to see here is you're going to see that to take an email address, if I get you in for $199, that's not what it's always going to be. It's going to go to $599, and that's per user. All right, so just to make sure, and that stuff adds up. Where I can probably get it at a one-time cost right now for $59, right? I can get it at a one-time cost for $59, and at the same time, I could get, how many can I get? I can get for $59 or $60, right? $59.99. I can get 10 domains, and I can get 50 email IDs for $59 for life, right? And then to me, that's powerful. If you get a 2-stack out of it, you get 20 domains and 75 email IDs. It's almost easier if they said email addresses, but they say email IDs, and I'm assuming they're saying that for a reason because it's an identifier that they use on their side. But to me, it's more email addresses. So hopefully that was good. You guys got any questions? You can leave your comments below if you understood it. If you need me to do more of these, you can let me know in the comments below. And I think I have another hack for this. Definitely if you have a software program that only allows you to use one email address, right? And there are some that do that, and you run a lot of contests and different things like that. They may only have one email address. You can use a tool like this, and you can just use it for temporarily just for that contest. You can put contest 1, contest 2. You can use them for your different blogs, blog 1, blog 2, right? And so on and so forth. So very powerful tool. Definitely can use it for scaling. Definitely if you have a lot of landing pages, definitely have a lot of domains. Anyone that's a marketer, digital marketer, has at least 50 domains, right? Or you start out with a couple, you end up with at least on average about 50. I know some has about 100. I have probably close to 100 domains because I'm a digital marketer and I have a large online digital real estate presence. So a tool like this is definitely beneficial. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe out there. Goodbye for now. This is Jenny.